Irving to West Dallas Viaduct is known as the Great Divide, where the women are kin and the men are men, and they won't stool on Bonnie and Clyde. If they try to act like citizens and rent them a nice little flat, about the third night they're invited to fight by a subgun's rat-tat-tat. They don't think they're too tough or desperate. They know that the law always wins. They've been shot at before, but they do not ignore that death is the wages of sin.
In January 1934, Clyde Barrow and Bonnie Parker set up a prison break at Eastham Prison Farm in the Huntsville, Texas prison complex. A well-known, very brutal prison guard named Major Crossan was assigned as a long-arm man. He rode a horse, carried a deer rifle, and if a prisoner ran, he reached out with his long arm and shot the man down. While Bonnie waited in an idling Ford, Clyde and a Confederate crawled up close to the prison gang working in the field. They had already hidden a weapon and gotten a message to a former gang member, Ray Hamilton. Ray Hamilton told a friend of his, Joe Palmer, where the gun was. Palmer got the hidden gun, shot down the long-arm guard, Major Crossan, and he, Ray Hamilton, and another prisoner named Henry Methvin ran for the bushes while Clyde fired his .30-06 BAR in the air. On April 1st, 1934, Henry Methvin was working with Clyde Barrow and Bonnie Parker robbing banks. They'd pulled off the side of the road when two Texas state troopers approached them. They shot these two Texas state troopers down in cold blood. They found their bodies with their guns still in the holster. These Texas events are the reason that the Texas governor, Ma Ferguson, brought in former Texas Rangers Captain Frank Hamer and Manny Galt. She gave them money and legal permission to take down Bonnie and Clyde any way that they could. In this episode, we will visit the Bonnie and Clyde Ambush Museum. We will interview the owner and Bonnie and Clyde historian Perry Carver. Our final stop will be at the Fort Worth Memorial on the very spot where Bonnie Parker, Clyde Barrow, and escaped convict Henry Methvin shot down Texas State Troopers Edward Bryan Wheeler and H.D. Murphy. Wiretappers out there, this is Perry Carver, the owner, operator, and chief cook and bottle washer of the Bonnie and Clyde Ambush Museum down here in Gibbsland, Louisiana. Perry, it's great to meet you. I've talked to you on the phone a couple of times, and we've had a long haul getting down here. It's hot out there in that motorcycle.
It is. It's been a hot day.
So how long have you ran this?
I'm going on my 5th year running.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you from this area originally?
No, I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
My grandparents knew Ted Toddy, who used to own the Death Car, and he lived in Marietta, Georgia at some time. I used to get to play in the car, and that's what brought me into all this.
That's interesting.
Yeah. They actually had spent the night in what a lot of people refer to as the Methvin Farm. There was no Methvin Farm. It was an old abandoned house that John Cole lived in. Him and his family had passed away from tuberculosis. Nobody wanted nothing to do with the house. And Bonnie and Clyde didn't care. They stayed there the night before they passed away. They got up about 6 o'clock in the morning. They took a back way around into Arcadia. They stopped at a little bridge and bathed, cleaned up, whatever. Some people had seen them there. And they came on into Arcadia, got a few little supplies. They came back this way and stopped right here at Canfield's Cafe. Clyde came in, Bonnie sat in the car. A lot of people don't realize how bad a shape she really was in. And she really didn't walk.
Yeah, her legs were still burnt really bad from that car accident.
It was just it never healed. And 2 months after that, she was shot in the stomach. 33 in November 33, she was shot through both legs. So she really wasn't much of a walker. But Clyde came in, and he wasn't much of a walker either. He'd been shot through both legs and cut off 2 toes. And but he came in here that morning and got him a fried bologna sandwich and Bonnie a BLT. And they thought they were going down towards the old Cole house to pick up Henry. Henry had gotten away from them about almost 2 weeks before the ambush. Clyde was getting suspicious. But they left here and drove down the road 7.5 miles. And Ivy Methvin had an old truck jacked up back there. And Clyde had bought him the old truck. So he recognized it and he stopped. And he talked to Ivy. Ivy walked up to the car and he asked Bonnie for a drink of liquor. He was shaking like a leaf. Ivy wasn't but 49 years old. They referred to him as Old Man Methvin, but he wasn't but 49. He probably looked 69. He was an alcoholic. And a logging truck was coming up behind Clyde. Clyde had done passed him once, and he looked at Ivy. He said, "I'm going to pull up and pull over. And we'll fix your tire, and I'll get you a drink." And as he started to pull up and just got clear to the truck, Curtis Oakley, the deputy here in Bienville Parish, he was 26 years old, never killed nobody in his life, thought Clyde was leaving. And he stood up, and he had a 35 caliber with a 5-shot clip, and he emptied it, and he killed him. He's pretty much credited with killing Clyde. But that 35 caliber went right through him and killed her. There was no screaming like a panther, no last look of drama. I think she was taking a bite of her sandwich, and Clyde was pulling up, and
never knew what hit
they
him.
were shaking hands with Jesus. They never even heard a shot, and the rest of the shots just helped make them famous.
Yeah.
I mean, the car helped keep their story alive. And it's really just a sad and tragic story.
Yeah.
I mean, people say they were just two cold-blooded killers, don't know the true story. You know, it's really just a sad and tragic story.
What's the true story?
Story of the Depression, I guess. Huh?
It is. It's that Clyde really was pushed into this life. I mean, as far as the violent aspect of it, they accuse him of a murder he didn't do, and he wasn't going back to prison. No man would ever lay his hands on him again. And that's how it started. And he looked at it as going to war. That's why he stole the fastest cars, the biggest guns. If he could run, he'd run. If you had him cornered, he was going to shoot his way out. Or you would kill him. But he wasn't going to be going back to no prison. And that was just the moment he made up his mind.
So while we were talking, whatever happened to the real car? There's one.
It's at Whiskey Pete's Casino in Primm, Nevada. That's the real deal.
That's the real one at Whiskey Pete's. Okay.
You know, I try to tell people, they want to talk about how mean and ruthless they were. No doubt Clyde had a reputation. It was so bad that FBI wouldn't go after him. Every officer they took hostage. Oh yeah, but they'd give them money to get away, and all of them said they were just two kids running for their lives. They were scared to death, but their lives didn't feel threatened. They said the only thing they worried about is running into a police roadblock or something, and a fight broke out. They might be killed. But they said Clyde didn't threaten their lives or nothing. Bonnie just basically tell their story. If you read her poem, it's dead on. You know, they were blamed for a lot of stuff they didn't do. If they were so cold-blooded and heartless, they would not have ran for over 2 years. So many people would not have helped them. They said that grapevine shooting changed the look of how people looked at them. It did not. They were around here for 2 months. Nobody turned them in. Nobody. The people that turned them in was the rat they were running with, Henry Methvin. But none of these local people turned them in. You know, the people liked them.
All right, I think that's pretty good. I have one more question. Whatever happened to all the guns? I see somebody, you've got one at somebody. What happened to all the rest of them?
Well,
we see that letter where Ms. Barrow tried to get them back.
She wrote, Frank Hamer doesn't have his guns, never did.
Yeah.
The sheriff up here in Bienville Parish kept those guns.
Yeah, he would have kept them, I understand.
There's,
I just wonder what happened to them after that.
They're
in the collections.
His family still has most of them.
Oh, do they really?
Yeah, a lot of stuff around here is still hush-hush. But Ted Hinton got kicked out and banned from the Texas Ranger Museum because he went up there a little intoxicated one day and told them their whole display was BS.
Yeah, and Ted Hinton, he was a Dallas County deputy that
was in the posse.
Knew Bonnie by sight.
Yeah,
that went along with him.
He knew her personally when he worked at the post office and ate at her cafe that she worked.
He wrote a book himself. I knew there was controversy about him and between him and Frank Hamer.
Well, he told them that was everything in there was fake. That he didn't get nothing but a fishing pole and a tackle box. You know, the sheriff didn't want to give the lady back her car, much less give Frank Hamer any guns. He didn't like Hamer. It was a last minute phone call to Shreveport to get Hamer and Galton and Alcorn and Hinton in the ambush. He had waited to the last minute to call it. No other officers around here would help him. They told him, we're not ambushing them. They ain't broke no laws here, you know. So at the last minute, he calls them. He says, I know where they'll be in the morning. Y'all come on.
So did Kevin Costner and Woody Harrelson come down here? Did they
did.
film some of that? Did you met them? And
yeah.
I thought I saw a picture of you with them, maybe on Facebook or something.
And Woody.
Yeah, all right. That was a pretty accurate show. I know they didn't They didn't give up and give them any warning. I understand that. That's
well, they did.
A literary license.
Everything they portrayed about Bonnie wasn't right, but you know they played the movie as the newspapers depicted the story. You know, we know Bonnie didn't kill that officer in Grapevine. Bonnie wasn't even walking by the time Hamer came into the picture. You know, she was already an infant. But I thought Kevin Costner played Frank Hamer perfect.
Yeah, I did too. I thought it was a pretty good movie.
The best part of it where he really, to me, caught Hamer was, and this didn't really happen, but when they show up in Grapevine, and the bodies are there. And Him and Galt may have went by Grapevine after the fact, but they didn't get there, I don't think, when the bodies were still laying in the street. But, you know, he's sitting there and Manny asked Ted Hinton, he says, why do you think she's got a bunny rabbit? She says, oh, maybe to give it to her mama or her sister. She's thoughtful like that. And Hamer's sitting there looking at the bodies. He's going, yeah, she's got a smile that'll light up the sunshine. Said, but she don't think twice about killing a police officer at close range. And then he looks and he goes, look at me, boy. And the way he just tones it, and to me, that captured Frank Hamer. Like, you know, he played him great. I mean, Hamer was known as a bully and kind of a brood. He didn't smile much. You know, not many people liked to kill Bonnie.
So after they were shot, they were laying there. They just left the bodies there for a long time.
In the car for about 3 hours.
Eventually, half the neighborhood and people around showed up to take a look.
Yeah. Most of the damage to the car and everything was done at the ambush site, not up in Arcadia.
Yeah.
Almost 1,000 people showed up. They sat down there almost 3 hours before they could get a wrecker down there to pull the car in.
Interesting.
And needless to say, it smelled atrocious. They stopped up here at the school, let all the children run out. Traumatized those children. Traumatized. I talked
different times back then.
Oh, yeah. I talked to a lot of those people, though, back in the 80s and 90s, a lot of them till the days they died. You know, they could tell you just how it was. It was just like the day Kennedy was killed.
Yeah.
You know, to them kids.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
My boy did buy most of those guns.
What'd she say?
She says something about how he did have the guns, so I don't see why you should not return the ones you have to me. You don't never want to forget my boy was never tried.
This is a letter to that Captain Hammer.
and not in something court.
She wants the guns
for murder.
back.
Yeah, she does. And no one is guilty until proven guilty by some court. So I hope you will answer this letter and also return the guns. I am asking for Mrs. C.H. Barrow. Wow. That's nothing like, hey, we did some shootings, but can I have the guns back because we paid for them?
Yeah. You never convicted me, you killed me.
Wow.
What's that letter there?
This cursive's hard, but it says something. It's to Henry Ford, Detroit, Michigan.
Oh,
dear sir, while
yeah.
I still have got breath in my lungs, I will tell you what a dandy car you make. I have drove Fords exclusively when I could get away with one. I don't know if she means steal or. Oh, that's from Clyde.
Yeah.
So it must mean steal. I don't know what that word is. I can't read it. Sustain speed and freedom from trouble. The Ford has got even, I don't know what that word is, other car, I don't know what that is, skilled, skimmed, and even if my business, something wasn't been strictly, and even if my business hasn't been strictly legal, it don't hurt anything to tell you what a fine car you've got, the V8. Yours truly, Clyde Barrow.